All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is a beautiful day outside. It's a little chilly this morning. I was out early and just saw a number of judicial candidates out there running, and clerk candidates and DA candidates. Everybody's running around this morning, but it's good to be with everybody. Today, our guest is Ricky Rooker, our circuit court clerk. Good morning, Mr. Rooker. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mr. Vice Mayor. How are you today?
I am good. It's a good day. I've watched a lot of basketball last night. Did you watch the basketball games?
Yes, sir. I made them both. Looking forward to the competition today. Seeing
Yeah.
how Arkansas can do now that they're the only SEC team left. So we'll see how things go.
And I was for the first time in a long time, I was screaming at the television during the St. Peter's game. I was rooting the underdog on. Not that I had anything against Purdue. I love the fact that there's an underdog still floating around.
And I'm sure you know this now, the only 15th seeded team that's ever made the Elite Eight.
That is remarkable. And
it is. I think everybody's pulling for the underdog. Hope
everybody in
tomorrow.
And it was so interesting. For those of you who don't follow basketball, obviously March Madness is going on, the NCAA tournament, and St. Peter's, which is a very small school in Jersey City, New Jersey, who is a 15 seed. There are 4 15 seeds and there's 4 16 seeds. Those are the lowest seeds you can get. That means that you somehow snuck into the tournament or won a conference tournament and got in. And so they rank you according to how well they think you'll do. A 15 seed typically doesn't really ever advance. 3 of them had advanced to the Sweet 16, which is the last 16 teams in the tournament. As Ricky said, no 15 seed has ever advanced to the final 8, which is where we are now. And St. Peter's, this small school out of Jersey City, advanced last night, beating Purdue. And Ricky, I know you know all this stuff. I think St. Peter's is a school, undergraduate, under 3,000 people. And Purdue has like over 40,000 students or something, some giant number.
They actually were looking at the gym last night, St. Peter's gym. They were showing, the fans there that were watching the game. It actually looks like a very, high school gym. So they're not a big school at all, and the facilities are not what you would think it would take to get to the Elite Eight. But
it is so fun. It is so fun to watch this. They play the University of North Carolina tomorrow. Yes. For a spot in the Final Four. North Carolina being what is referred to in college basketball lore as a blue blood. North Carolina, Kentucky, UCLA, those are those schools that Kansas, I think, would be one.
Oh, absolutely.
Those are those schools that are always just phenomenal in basketball and have such a tradition in history.
Yeah, and Kansas being the only number 1 seed left. The rest of them are out.
So it should be very interesting to watch. And I'm looking forward to it. There's 2 games tonight and 2 games tomorrow, and then the championship weekend is next weekend. Well, so usually I ask an irrelevant question, but I think that took care of the first couple of minutes, so we're good to go. And there's a connection to the SEC, which we'll explain in just a minute after I get through introducing or welcoming. I know Councilmember John Rutherford is on. Our County Clerk Brenda Wynn is on. Good morning, everybody. Again, we hope everybody's doing well. Still lots of news. Joseph Day is on. He is he is running for office. He is running for Circuit Court Clerk. So he is on today. I'm looking around to see if I recognize anybody else. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, a beautiful day outside, a lot of stuff going on in the world. I know I turned on the television this morning. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, was in Warsaw this morning and is dealing with the Ukraine situation. And I think we're all hoping that somehow that gets resolved very, very quickly and peacefully. Anyway, good morning. Our guest today is Ricky Rooker, our circuit court clerk. Mr. Rooker, again, good to have you here this morning. Our first question for all our guests is, tell us about yourself. Your name, the last name is embedded into Nashville government, but tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's great to be here and great to join you this morning and to share a little bit about myself and about the clerk's office and actually what we do on a daily basis and the services we provide to the clients that need our help. I'm a native Nashvilleian. I grew up in Inglewood, still in Inglewood, from out of East Nashville. Attended public school until about the 8th grade, and I was transferred to Good Pasture Christian School, where I finished my education there. Attended David Lipscomb College and finished up there actually, and started work in the circuit court clerk's office in about 1980. I actually had a very, very fun job at that time. Being a young man, I worked in the traffic warrant division, and I worked 16-hour shifts. I started my first shift at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and I finished at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning. I went back in at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and I came back. I got off at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. And back then, you could be arrested for a traffic ticket. If you had a traffic ticket and you hadn't gone to court or paid it, or you hadn't had anything done with it, then you could actually be arrested and brought in and booked on that traffic charge. And we no longer do that. And it's probably a good idea that we don't do that. But back then, that's what I did for a few years while I was in school. Finished up at Lipscomb and started my career here at the Circuit Court Clerk's office. Worked my way up to Chief Clerk of the General Sessions Division in 1990. My father, who was the clerk before, he was elected in 1968, and he unfortunately passed away in 93. I was appointed by the circuit judges to become the circuit clerk in interim. The Metro Council appointed me as Metro Clerk, as a circuit court clerk on August the 6th of 1993. Ran for office the next year and was elected to a full 4-year term in 1994. Been here ever since, and I'm fortunate enough to not have any opposition, so to speak, in all of my years here. When I retire at the end of August of this year, I've been here 29 years, 8 months. So it's been a really good career. I've enjoyed taking over and bringing the office up to standards as far as the communication with the courts, communication with the community, the technology we've applied over the years, and just taking it to a different level, which we'll get into a little bit more.
Tell me about your because a number of people probably do remember your dad. So he first took office back in the 60s, is that right?
Yeah, yes, sir. He took office. He worked for the trustee's office, and he was encouraged to run for circuit court clerk as Alf Rutherford had passed away. And my dad was encouraged to actually run by former Mayor Beverly Briley back in that time, and he was elected to office in 1968. So he was in office for 24 years until his untimely death in 93. Passed away way too early. He was only 63 years old. He was a native Nashvilleian who he worked his way up through the ranks of government and was given the opportunity to begin his elected official career here, and made some really great strides and changes through his tenure here at the clerk's office.
So if I'm adding this up right, because you followed your dad in the position.
Correct.
We've had a Rooker as the official Central Circuit Court clerk in Davidson County for 54 years. Is that right?
54 years. Yes, sir. 54 years.
That is simply amazing. Well,
Yeah, and you know, hopefully, and I think it's safe to say, you know, we have we tried to run it with integrity and tried to. I remember standing up in front of the council when I was appointed by them, and I promised to continue the integrity and the service that my father had provided for this office, and I hope that I have accomplished that. We're very proud of our service and the way that our customer service is in our offices, not only in person, on the phone, any kind of communications that we have. We take pride in knowing that we are here to help folks that are going through a process they don't want to go through. No one wants to go to court. I don't care if you're a plaintiff, you're a defendant. It doesn't matter. No, we don't. Our services are here to get people through a troubled time, no matter what that is. So we understand that we are not always dealing with happy folks, but we also understand we're providing a service to those folks that they greatly need during a time of trouble, whether they're on either side of the coin there, it doesn't really matter. But I learned a lot from him, and customer service and helping people and getting people through problems in their lives were a great thing that he really taught and thing that he really believed in, because he didn't come up a very, you know, he was a very poor child when he was growing up, and he always believed in hard work, and he always remembered and taught us customer service, community service. Remember what you're here to do, and you're here to make people's lives a little bit better at the end of the day. So that was kind of how me and my brother were groomed throughout the course of our lives.
And your brother was in public office as well.
He was. And he's
still serving in the public.
Still serving in the public. Yes, sir. He was assessor of property, and now he actually works at the planning department. So we both have had our careers through public service and through the metropolitan government, and it's kind of was not necessarily we didn't have a choice, but it was greatly encouraged that we participate and throw our careers into public service.
So, Ricky, let me ask you this: for people who, may not have ever been involved in a court case, or maybe they haven't, they just never really had to come deal with your office. For somebody who doesn't understand what the circuit court, the clerk's office does, I guess what I would say is give us kind of a general overview. Where is it? Where's the how do you get access to it? And what does it do? What's the office do?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's not only just the circuit court clerk's office. The circuit court clerk's office is divided into 4 different divisions. It's the circuit court clerk's office, and the circuit clerk's office handles things, the state trial courts, a court of record, things like divorces, medical malpractice cases, orders of protection, judicial committals, condemnations, things of that nature that come through the circuit court. So it's also probate court, and it's also general sessions civil court, and it's also the traffic violations bureau. Each one of those offices is a different animal in itself as to the rules and the principles and the statutes that you have to provide. And you have to understand and know to run each one of those offices. Obviously, probate deals with the states, wills, conservatorships, and all of the things that they go into to the probate side of court. General sessions civil court can be anything, and it's kind of referred to as a small claims court. You can file civil warrants there, and I know there's been a lot of attention on detainer actions and evictions through the COVID years, I should say, and how all that's been affected to folks. All of those things come through the general sessions civil court. We do state distress warrants for the state will come in and actually garnish the wages of people who have received benefits or employee benefits for lack of employment. That have received benefits in error. We also do order protections in the general sessions level. So an order protection is civil when it's originally filed, so it doesn't become a criminal case or a criminal warrant or anything until such time as that order protection has been violated. So all of the order protection things come through the court. They go in a civil court if it's a marriage, or if it goes in general sessions court for just domestic partners or anything of that nature. So we work very closely with the advocates and with the safety center to make sure folks are getting the protection that they need through those order protections. Also do emergency committals in the general sessions court. Those are for folks who are a danger to themselves or someone else, that they have to go through a process of the police have to come out and really deem that person to be a danger to themselves or someone else, and then they are committed on an emergency basis to a facility that can help them through their issues at that point in time. We also do anything that has to do with a codes case. A Metro Codes ordinance that's being violated. That all goes through the General Sessions and Traffic Violations Bureau based upon whether it's a citation or just a civil warrant. So if you have a neighbor who won't cut their grass, if you have a neighbor or someone in your neighborhood who has a vehicle that doesn't have proper registration or license tags or things of that nature, all of those come through the General Sessions Court, and it's all codes cases. So anything that has to do with a codes violation of a Metro ordinance comes through our office. We handle garnishment payments, people that are being garnished for judgments that they owe. The list goes on and on and on, but the importance of all of this and what we do is we have to service 11 general sessions judges and 8 circuit judges, is keep the records where they're available to the public, viewable for the public, and the public has access to all the information that are in these court systems. We recently, over the few years, and it's ironic the timing of this, we started electronic filing a couple of years ago, right before COVID began. We would have been in such a complete mess as a court system without electronic filing. We went live on that late 19 in circuit and probate. Electronic filing now has made the clerk's office basically 24/7 operation. You can file anything at any point in time. It's electronically done. We'll get into this a little bit more as the conversation goes on, but all of the paperwork and all of the things that are done in the clerk's office now are electronically filed. We are the only court, general sessions court in the nation that has electronic filing. And that's something that we're extremely proud of. We had a great team put this together. Joseph Day was a part of that team who put this together and have applied it. And it's just such a cost savings. It is a just resource savings, and lawyers and even judges now who are getting used to using the processes just absolutely love e-filing, because it just takes away a lot of error. There is no paper. It costs money to move paper. And so now we're doing all this electronically. We can electronically send orders to the court. They electronically send them back. It's just made our lives so much easier. And we had a great team of people who worked really hard for a lot of years. That's not something we just did in a month or two. There was a lot of planning, a lot of strategy, a lot of things talked about and done. So we had a great team that put that together, and we're very proud of that product.
Hey, Ricky, well, take like but general sessions, a civil matter, okay?
Sure.
The criminal matter would end up with Howard Gentry in the criminal clerk's division.
Yes, sir.
So walk us through what your office does with, let's take something everybody might understand. Somebody owes somebody some money. Let's say that it's a MasterCard or a Visa thing, local, and there's an outstanding debt that's not being paid. So
Sure.
how does that get filed? And then just for general sessions court, let's just say it's a $3,000 obligation.
Okay.
Tell
Well,
people what your office does in terms of just keeping up with how that thing works.
absolutely. Okay, so the beginning of the process, let's just say you owe NES, you owe MasterCard, you owe some kind of plan like that. The first part is to be in general sessions court, it has to be under $15,000. So that's the jurisdictional limit of a civil warrant. So the process people will e-file their civil warrant. Okay, here we go. You owe me $3,000 for this bill that you have. It's e-file. We send it to the sheriff's office for personal service. So the sheriff has to go, or it can be done by private process server also. But the sheriff will have to go serve the defendant and gives them a court date. So on that court date, we have civil dockets every day. We have 2 of them every day. One starts at 9, one starts at 10. And you just have to come to court. And usually people don't if they owe it, they know they owe it. So they're not disagreeing to it. They'll try to set up some kind of payment plan or some kind of way to pay back that debt. If a judgment's taken, then in 10 days, that judgment becomes final. So it's a final judgment in the general sessions court. And if the defendant hasn't taken some sort of action, filed a slow pay motion, so to speak, or worked out a payment arrangement with the plaintiff, then the plaintiff has the right, after that judgment becomes final, to issue a garnishment, an execution on their wages where they work, or they can actually issue a levy on a bank account that they may have. They can issue a levy on any personal property that they may own to try to collect that judgment. So it's a lot of the contact we have with defendants is after that judgment is taken and that garnishment hits their paycheck. Then they want to know, okay, well, how can I get this garnishment off my paycheck? You come in, you file a slow pay motion, you go to court. The court says, okay, Mr. Rooker, you owe this $3,000. How do you plan on paying it back? $100 a month. So be it. And as long as I make that payment on time and make that payment to the court, then you're safe from that garnishment. It takes away the garnishment. It puts a stay on it. And as long as you make your payments until you pay the bill in full, then as long as you make your payments, you're fine. What people a lot of times don't understand. So if it's a credit card company that's suing you, they are entitled to whatever percentage of interest that they can charge that you would be paying on that credit card once they take a judgment. So think about that $3,000 judgment at 19% interest annually on the unpaid amount of the judgment. You can only imagine how quick that builds up. And we try to explain this to folks. I mean, it's just state statute that allows this to happen. And if you're paying off a judgment, then the person has a right to charge interest on the amount of that judgment that's left owed. Once that judgment's taken and you pay it off, credit bureaus do pick up that you have a judgment against you. Credit bureau, I mean, and they do that. It's public information, it's public record. Once you get it paid off, you need to go through the process of trying to get it to these credit bureaus and let them know, hey, this is done, this is paid, this is over with. So that process is done. And it's the same thing, Vice Mayor, with rent. And on a detainer warrant, there's no jurisdictional limit on a detainer warrant as far as a money value, but a detainer warrant also can take a judgment, but it can also take a possession judgment, so that after 10 days you have to move from the property and you owe the rent that may or may not have been asked for in the detainer warrant to be filed. So the sheriff,
you may want to explain what a detainer warrant is for people.
Detainer, okay, sure. A detainer warrant is just it is for people for unpaid rent and for possession of the rental house or apartment, whatever it may be. So if you haven't paid your rent in a couple of months or whatever, for whatever reason, the owner of the house or the property can issue a detainer warrant and ask the court to take a judgment against you for the unpaid amount, but also give them possession of the property. So when they give you possession of the property, it means if you're not moved out within 10 days, the plaintiff can issue a writ of restitution, and that goes to the sheriff. And the sheriff actually comes to the rental property and sets out the person who's in the property with the force of the county, and then basically they've taken possession of that property. So
eviction, how does that play into it? When people hear the process of, okay, so you owe back rent, okay, and the action is taken, nobody shows up in court, so you get a detainer warrant, and then somebody's still not moving out, and then it gets eventually, the sheriff's office gets involved and can try to, is it forcibly move your possessions out?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah. Once that judgment's taken and it becomes final in General Sessions Court after 10 days, a writ, what's called a writ of restitution, can be issued by the plaintiff, goes to the sheriff, and the sheriff, with the force of the county, will go out. Sheriff technically doesn't do the work. They will hire a rental company, a moving company, or someone to come do that. And they will come literally move your furniture, move out everything that's in that apartment, giving possession of the property back to the plaintiff in the case.
When people hear of eviction,
that's that process. That's exactly when you hear someone being evicted from a property. And there's many reasons for, it's not necessarily for non-payment of rent. It could be just the plaintiff wants the property back. And if a lease ends and you've paid up and they just want their property back, and you're unwilling to give them their property back, they can do that also. So most of the time, 90% of the time, it's for non-payment of rent. But there are some things we can have emergency evictions. Say if the house is being used for unlawful use, selling of narcotics or doing something of that nature, then the plaintiff has knowledge. He can ask the court for immediate relief and have the person evicted based upon that. So when we hear eviction, we know detainer warrant, we know writ of restitution, we know that someone is trying to be evicted from a rental property. We have businesses that this applies to also. It's not just residential, it can be commercial. If it's a business that's had a rough time or something, and they haven't paid their rent to the landlord. I mean, we have commercial evictions that go on all the time also.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in General Sessions Court. Really long time. Sure. But as I remember, my guess is it's probably some of the same situations. Most people, and maybe that's not fair, but just go with me for a second. So I would say that most people, many people, probably don't understand the process. They don't want to be in court, right. Obviously. They've gotten behind on a bill. They're hoping it goes away. It doesn't. And I remember going to General Sessions Court, and most of the time, particularly with credit card debt or things like that, the defendant doesn't show.
Okay.
It's not there because they probably know that they owe the debt.
Right.
So how do people, this is kind of a general question, they're being pulled into something that they don't want to be in anyway. How do people kind of understand what is happening to them, or do they understand?
Well, a lot of folks, when they get that warrant served on them, will call our office, and I've actually even had taken calls from individuals who, hey, I just got this. I don't understand what it is. I don't know what it is. Why is this happening to me? And we will go into, and there's a description on the civil warrant usually about the plaintiff is listed, the defendant's listed, the reason for the warrant being issued or taken out. And when I say warrant, let's not, that's just a technical name for it. I mean, people hear warrant, they think arrest. Okay, so a lot of people, when they get, oh, I got a civil warrant, oh, I'm fixing to be arrested. No, it's just, that's the definition by statute of what it has to be called. So we have some confusion on that level also. But most folks call and we say, well, okay, let's read this with us and see what it says over here. And some people really do not know. I don't have this. I've never had a company like this or whatever. And then most of the time when we talk through it with them and tell them who it is, we'll give them the attorney, if they have the attorney's information, if there's an attorney listed, to call and give some more detail. But most of the time people go, okay, yeah, I remember that. I've co-signed. I mean, you'd be amazed at how many people I co-signed for somebody on that. And okay, well, you co-signed, they didn't pay it, so now they're coming after you. So if you do not show up for court on that, then a default judgment's taken. So it's the same thing as you showing up and agreeing to it, but there's added fees to a default judgment. So we tell people, you know, come to court, try to work out a payment plan. And we really do encourage, Vice Mayor, we encourage folks to try to work it out before judgment's taken. Well, you know, judgment taken is going to affect you in so many different ways down the line. And we want defendants to understand, you know, this is a credit report problem. This is going to be, you know, another kind, you know, it's going to cause you issues down the line with your credit, no question. I always encourage folks to try to work something out with the plaintiff or the plaintiff's attorney before, you know, if there's a way to pay it or a way to get it paid or work out of a payment arrangement with the plaintiff. So that judgment's not taken. But once it's taken, a judgment's good for 10 years, and then it can be renewed after 10 years if not paid. So we also just want folks to understand it's not just $1,000. Okay, it's $1,000 with interest. So and the interest can't be charged on. So it's not like your house payment. So once that $1,000 is paid, there's a certain amount of interest that can be charged. So it's not like an amortization schedule where you're sitting there going, oh, you know, $100 is going to judgment and $900 is going to interest. It doesn't work like that. So it's just everything's paid off on the judgment first, and then you have to pay off the interest. But we greatly encourage folks, try to do everything you can to not let that judgment go on your record.
Is there a place, Ricky, and I appreciate the fact that your office communicates and tries to get it, you know, explain it to people. But
sure,
you know, there are so many people that get caught up in this process. For somebody, let's say that you know, somebody gets that warrant and is like, I don't know what this is. They try to read the information. They may not understand it. Is there a place to go? Is there something listed on the warrant where they can go and at least get some basic information that does tell them that they need to be in court on that day, that, you know, these are the possibilities that could happen, that there are costs associated, not just with the actual amount, but there's other things as well. Because I think people get surprised and shocked sometimes when they get that judgment, and all of a sudden they don't owe just the $3,000 to the MasterCard. All of a sudden they owe interest and other fees that they didn't even know about. And it would have been so much better overall for somebody to have tried to work out something beforehand. Is there a place obviously they call your office. Is there some basic way that they can understand? Because look, if they owe $3,000 on a credit card debt, they probably don't have the money to hire an attorney, and they're probably not going to do that.
That's so true. And there's not really, you can call legal services and try to get some resources there, but their best resource is the clerk's office. No question. We can explain the process. Now, what we cannot do as clerks, and we have this issue quite often, is we can't practice law. So practicing law and giving you a process is two different things. If I'm telling you how a process works, And then all of a sudden you say, well, what should I say when I get into court? Well, we can't tell you that. We would be practicing law. We can't represent you in court. We can't tell you a strategy. We can give you all of the procedural information that you need and that you want. This is what you can expect. This is what's probably going to happen, you know, and on down the line. But there's a thin line between giving procedure and practicing law. And folks don't understand that and it's frustrating. It's frustrating to them because they feel like they have no resource to turn to. They can't find anybody to represent them. They can't, you know, they're in civil court. It's not like you can get a public defender. You can't get just, you know, like it is in criminal court. So the resource that most folks have is the clerk's office. And just another point, so everyone understands, what we do in circuit, in probate, general sessions, even in the traffic violations bureau, we are driven by state law and metro ordinance. We really don't have a lot of choice in anything that we do. You know, we laugh about it all the time here. When the statute says the clerk shall, it means the clerk must. We don't have any say so whatsoever in the fees that we collect, in the cost that's collected, in the price of whatever anything is to file. None of that. All of that is by state law. It is by state statute. And a funny part of one of those state statutes is if the clerk does not collect fines, fees, litigation tax, anything of that nature, then the clerk himself personally can be held responsible for those fees by the state of Tennessee. Now, I don't want to pay everybody's court costs, so I really try to do what we're supposed to do in collecting those fees. But people that get the impression that the clerk's office can waive a fee, or that the clerk's office can say we're not going to do that, or the clerk's office, we're bound by state law. It's not something that I get to decide, or even that any employees get to decide. So fines and fees related to anything that we do, we're governed by state law and metro ordinance. So we've got to also be real careful as to how we lead people to a conclusion of their case or whatever. We can procedurally help you do anything. We can give you the paperwork. If someone walks into our office and says, hey, I want to sue my neighbor because his fence is over my line and he owes me $3,000 for that, we can give them the paperwork to do that. But then when they say, well, what should I put right here, and how do I fill this out, and what is the TCA that governs this, that's where we cannot help. And that's a frustrating thing for a lot of folks. So we're kind of driven by the Bible of the green TCA books, and they tell us what to do, and they tell us how to do it, and we have to follow them.
So in your office, what you do is, obviously, if people want to start a process, all the paperwork, everything that's being filed, all the actions taken in the matter would be retained in that file that resides within your office. And your staff is going to work with both the general sessions court and the circuit court and the probate judge to keep up with what's happening. And while the judges are trying to take action and do things, what you're doing is you're keeping up with where that case is and keeping all the documents together.
Yes, and with e-filing now, it's so much easier. I don't want to get too technical on how that works, but the transfer of information from the court to the judges now is seamless. Like, you think about it like this: you have a big filing cabinet at your house, and you take an insurance policy and you put it in your insurance policy file in your home thing, but you accidentally put your insurance paper in your car title thing. Okay, so when you get to looking for that insurance paper next year, you can't find it because you've misfiled it. You don't know where it is. E-filing has, and believe that happened a lot. and you got to remember and think about the massive amount of paperwork that we used to have to take care of. Put them in binders, put them in these little 4-leaf files. They have to be in chronological order. So you have to take the file apart to put the paper back in and keep it all in order of the filings. All of that now is electronically done. None of that has to be touched anymore. So the transfer of information, from clerk to court, transfer of information from court to clerk upon their conclusion of the case or conclusion of the motion or conclusion of the order. All of that now is done without human hands having to touch it. So we're more efficient. We are definitely easier to convey information to the public, information to the attorneys. When attorneys now have a filing or something's filed on one of their cases, instead of them having to call the clerk's office, can you check and see if this was filed? They get an email that says something filed on case number ABC, and they get an email, then they can go look. So all of those processes now that are automated just make the process so much easier and more seamless to all users. But the amount of information that comes through all of our clerk's office, including the traffic bureau, parking tickets, traffic tickets, codes violations, anything of that nature comes through the traffic bureau. All of that's automated. You can make a traffic ticket payment online. You do not have to come to court. You can pay your parking tickets online. You can find information online for any of our offices. So the transfer of all that, which used to take human hands to do, now is all electronically done, and we find it so much easier to maintain information and to be able to populate that information as people request it and need it.
So for purposes of public review, so let's say I want to see if anything's been filed against Jim Schulman ever.
Sure.
Can I do that online? Is that allowed through public review of files to see what is out there outstanding?
Sure. We have public terminals in our office that you can come check that on your own. Our public information program is called CaseLink. It's used all over the country. There is a cost to it, but it's $25 a month, so it's very minimal. You can call us and we'll look it up for you. We have public access terminals in our office that are for free, or you can actually subscribe to CaseLink. CaseLink is used nationwide. People are constantly checking cases with us. It's amazing how many media requests we get for information. Most of the media has CaseLink and they know how to use it and they check it. We have a lot of country music stars that live in Nashville. So we're getting TMZ requests a lot about just, has anything been filed against this person? Has anything been filed on that person? We get public information requests from all over the country. But CaseLink is actually the $25 a month. You can go in and look at any case in General Sessions Court, Circuit Court, Probate Court. Not only can you look at the case, you can look at excuse me, the actual documents filed. So all the images are there for all of those cases. That is a complete time saver for people who are gathering information. Lawyers who don't have to come up here and call us, they can jump on their computer and look at any case filed in any of these courts. So all of that is easy access to the public, and we make that simple process for them.
Okay, so if I wanted to check a country music star, and there might have been, maybe a long time ago they had an order of protection filed in a case long before maybe they were a star, and I want to go look at that, I could get on this case file system and pull it up and Google their name and then look into the file and see that.
Sure. If they had a divorce, yeah, any kind of divorce filed, any kind of civil lawsuit, have they been sued? Have they been sued in circuit court? Have, you know, anything that's not under seal by statute or anything that's not placed under seal by the court is accessible on that case management system and case link. So yeah, you can research all you want.
All right, let me switch over. We have about 15 minutes left. This is really, really interesting. I hope people are enjoying the conversation. Talk about, let's switch over to a probate court. Okay, sure. So tell me the traditional way of what you see as things come through probate court, and maybe the best way to do is, okay, so, you know, I pass away, I have a will. What happens in terms of what is your position, your office's responsibilities in terms of now, you know, an executor now has to step in and start having to dealing with my estate. What do you all, what is your all's role in all that?
Well, our role in it is naturally where you would file the estate. If the estate itself, they're small estate affidavits you can file. So if the estate's less than, let's say $75,000, then you don't have to do accountings. You wouldn't have to do all of those things. But if you have, let's just say you have an estate that's worth, I don't know, let's say $250,000. So, and you've been the executor, you're now the executor of that estate. So you have to come to court and you have to get all of these things from Judge Kennedy. You have to, you know, file the proper paperwork. You have to do accountings each year on that estate. Claims that are filed against that estate. So the person may have owed several, you know, companies some money. So all of those claims are filed with us. And then at the end of the day, you know, once the estate is closed, when the court signs off on it, and here's something that a lot of people don't understand. Now, real estate passes outside of probate. So if you have a parent passes away or something, real estate is not involved in probate. But if you have a parent or a loved one who has, let's just say a bank account somewhere that's got $100,000 in it, if that person passes away and no one else is on that bank account listed, then you have to probate that and you have to come to court, because the bank can't do anything with those funds until such time as the court has told them to. So you come to court, you have to get letters of testamentary from the court that allow you to access your mother, father, husband, wife, to access those accounts. So it's not like we can, you know, we were sitting here taking people's money to do this. You have to do it. It's a process that you have to do. You can't access anyone else's bank account, retirement account, any kind of thing, anything like that without a court order. And until that court orders that account can be, that you can access it, then there's nothing you can do. It's just going to sit there. But each estate has to have an accounting every year, and the court has to be updated on what's going on in the estate. So you can't just go in there and, you know, if you're the executor, start spending a bunch of money here, there, and everywhere. So all of those records come through probate, and you have to account for every penny spent.
So what's interesting, so let's say that you're fortunate enough to have put money away, so your estate's over $75,000.
Sure.
And you are fortunate enough to have never had to go into to deal with a general sessions court or circuit court, or you've never been in chancery court, and you've never been in criminal court. You have stayed away from all the court systems, and all of a sudden you have a parent that passes away, and you know, they have a house and they have $100,000 in their bank account, and you've never really dealt with much of an attorney. There, a long time ago, they drafted a will, and so all of a sudden, you know, not only you're dealing with trying to figure out how to deal with the funeral, but all of a sudden you get to the end of it, and then you're going like, oh, now what? Now what am I supposed to do? You can obviously call an attorney and try to figure out how to do it that way. But my guess is you have people that are going, do they have people that now call your office and go, what do I do?
Right. And Vice Mayor, this is a problem that we have. I can't tell them what to do because then, as the clerk, we can't tell them how to proceed legally. So I can tell them how to proceed procedurally, but not legally. So if anything, like you say, anything of those natures, and a lot of probate law is complicated. A lot of probate law is it's so pinpointed towards a certain thing. So access to bank accounts, access to how we're going to divide things in the house, and what we're going to do, especially if you have family members that are all involved in this. Who gets what, who gets this. I'm sure you go to the will, and usually it's worked out through the will. But when those bank accounts and those investment accounts and those things do not have anyone on there but the person who passed away, that's when your troubles start. That's when you really need to, you have to come in, and the court has to hear from all parties. And all parties have to sign off on whatever that's agreed to in court, or they can appeal that decision. So we have a lot of that back and forth. If we've got a lot of survivors that are involved in the case, a lot of children involved in the cases, whether it be stepchildren, whatever. It's very important in estate planning for people to make specifically clear what they want to happen with all that they have left behind when time comes. So estate planning is extremely important. Wills are extremely important. You can file a will in the clerk's office now without any case. You don't have to have a case. We have thousands of wills that are filed in our office, but probate's tricky, and everything has to be driven by the court order and what the court has decided to do with the estate planning.
It's so interesting. This stuff is, life is complicated enough as it is. And you get through, you've got different things that could happen to you for either because of something that you did, or maybe sometimes because of something you didn't do.
Sure.
And then you've got this whole procedure that you have to follow, besides just trying to make sure you understand kind of what's going on. And I always, particularly because I spent a lot of years dealing with
Team Day is trendsetters.
Oh,
Look
so
on the corner that we were on last week.
Mr. Day is, I think your computer is not muted.
Yeah.
So we can hear what you're talking about. And Mr. Day probably knows some of this stuff as well. But
Mr. Day does know all of this stuff.
But I guess for people who, and we've just got a few minutes because I want to switch to subjects right here at the end. But for people who just are lost, I know you all can't practice law, and if for the average ordinary Nashvilleian who all of a sudden has now they have to deal with either a matter, or they have to deal with something like a death in the family, where they are now responsible and they've got enough stuff on their plate. They certainly can reach out to an attorney if that's what they're comfortable with. But if they're not comfortable with that, the best thing for them to do is they may end up calling your office because they don't know where else to go. And at that point, I think that's where you all really can benefit people, because people just sometimes get lost. And you are muted, Ricky, now.
And Vice Mayor, we do that. We help people through processes. There's no question about it. If people come to us in every office. I mean, we have pro se litigants in each office, pro se not represented by counsel. You think we help them through processes in the clerk's office. We have a tremendous staff who they understand, they're kind, they're willing to help, especially in probate, because as you mentioned earlier, everybody's got to come through probate court at some point in time in their life. Everybody's going to deal with probate court, probably. You're extremely lucky if you don't have to. And those folks are not used to any kind of court setting or anything. we have very compassionate, caring people that work in probate court and in all of our courts. And what I've told folks is, as you come to work here and as you start your career here, we're not dealing with happy people, and we are going to treat them with dignity and respect. And we're going to help them through a process that they do not want to be involved in, especially the death of a spouse, the death of a parent, anything, anything like that. And no one wants to go through that. And we're very compassionate towards them. We are the person to talk to, no question. If you have a civil case in Davidson County, Tennessee, you're going to come to one of our offices. We have everything that is civil. So if it's not criminal, one of our offices is going to be able to help you with that. And it just call any of them and we'll get you to the right place to deal with exactly what we need to help you. But we are the first line. We as the clerks are, and we understand that. We take the phone calls, we take the in-person meetings, and people are always going to be treated with respect and dignity as they enter our offices, because we do understand. They don't want to be here, and I don't blame them. They don't want to be here. The only thing we do that makes people happy is we have adoptions, and then people are really happy after that. But other than that, they're going through a process they don't want to go through, and we're always here to help. But we are the first line for folks to call to get any kind of information about what they need.
Well, speaking of being courteous and professional and trying to be fair and to deal with people, we've got 5 minutes left, actually 4 minutes left. You had another career, and I'm not even sure if you're still doing it. You were an official with the Southeastern Conference.
Yes, sir.
Are you still doing that, or did you finally stop?
I finally stopped.
Okay.
I officiated in the Southeastern Conference from 2006 to 2018. I have many great stories for another Zoom call or another thing, but that was my career, so to speak, for quite a while. Very enjoyable time of my life, and been on every football field in the Southeastern Conference right now. I have been officiated a game there until Oklahoma and Texas come in, and then I haven't been there. But it was a joy and great memories, and I still officiate high school football, which is where I started and began that career. So still enjoy getting out there on Friday nights. But I had a great career in the SEC, and very fortunate to be able to contribute to that.
And what was your what role did you have as an official?
I was a deep wing. I was a side judge, so I ran backwards all day. So trying to keep up with Southeastern Conference wide receivers running backwards is quite a feat to try to accomplish. But I was a side judge, so I had mostly defensive pass interference, defensive holding, things of that nature. When the ball's loose, that's when we went to work. Punts, passes, fumbles. That's when we were there. So
I bet you were loved by many coaches.
Oh, yes, sir. All the coaches that I was fortunate enough to be on the sideline with probably would have nothing but great things to say about me.
Well, so we got a question in the queue. So Councilmember Russ Pulley is an SEC official. And
yes, sir. He is.
And so the question was, tell us one story about Councilmember Pulley that you can get away with on
that I can get away with. Councilmember Pulley and I had a football game together in Alabama, Arkansas many years ago, and I still have the picture, which I will not show you. But Councilmember Pulley and a running back at that time by the name of Derek McFadden, and I think a lot of people will remember that name. They had a very interesting meeting in which Mr. McFadden's knee kind of catches Councilman Pulley right here in the face. Of course, he was laying on his back at the time, but I don't know how that happened. But there is a picture out there that will be evidence to that meeting. And Mr. Pulley spends as much time, it seems like, either dodging or getting run over than a lot of people actually imagine. his job is tough. He is in the middle of the field with all the big boys. So he has to be pretty agile and limber and moving. But that was one of the best memories. After we checked on him and made sure he's okay, naturally we couldn't stop laughing. But anyway, that's another story for another day too. So.
I may have to get Councilmember Cooley on one of these calls and ask him about that.
Yeah, be sure you ask him about it. And there's several things. Oh, and he will try to defend himself by trying to tell you some things about some of my episodes on the football field. Let me also tell you too about that. There's none of us that have been on that football field that can say we haven't missed one. We've all missed them. We've all been blocked out. We've all made bad mistakes on the football field, but football officials in themselves, 90%, 95% of everything that they call and everything that they see, they get right. So it's a very small percentage, but usually when we miss one, it's pretty evident. And believe me, the inner group of people give you more grief over it than anybody outside of the world. So it's a close-knit group and also a fun-loving group. And those guys really, and we all did. We worked really hard at it. We had to be in condition. We had to make a 1.5-mile run every year to just officiate. So it's a full-time job. It's not just run out there and in beginning of September and start calling a game. There's a lot of preparation that goes into being a Southeastern Conference football official.
Well, I can tell you that I have. I think you all do a great job. You've never missed a call, and I don't believe I've ever yelled at an official.
Well, I appreciate that, but yeah,
we'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. That's a good idea. That's a good way to close.
I don't know if anybody's ever caught me on camera yelling at an official, so we'll just leave it at that.
There you go. There we go.
Ricky Rooker, our circuit court clerk. This has been so interesting. Thank you for being my guest. I think you provided a lot of people. I know people will be watching this. A lot of really helpful information.
Well, thank you for having me, Vice Mayor. Like I say, we have a tremendous team here at the clerk's office. Very smart, dedicated people that have worked really hard to make this office one of the top offices in the state of Tennessee. And Joe Day's been a tremendous part of that. Experience, you have to have experience. You've got to understand the laws, the statutes, and the local rules and the things that govern this office. We just have a really good team of people here. So we're happy to serve. We love what we do, and we like helping people. So I appreciate the time to spend with you and share a little bit about what goes on in the clerk's office.
Well, thank you for all your service. I know you've got several more months. I hope you enjoy your retirement, and that nobody runs you over on the football field.
Those high school kids are pretty fast too, so you better get out of the way. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate the time.
Next week we have criminal court judge Angie Dalton, so be with us next week. Everybody have a really safe weekend. Enjoy the basketball game. We'll see you all next week. All right. Thanks.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.